Okay.
All right. Let me let
Let's see.
everybody
Let's
know
go
we're here.
go to top 5.
Bless you. Chickadee check 1 2 3 check.
All right. Got the Discord ready.
We're hurrying. We're hurrying.
I mean, we can go ahead and start.
All
I mean,
right.
I can add these lists as we go.
All right, because I got well, we only got one tab to open. We're just gonna do the one news story, the big one that happened this last week.
Oh yeah, the big one.
Yeah, the big one. All right, I'm good to go if you are.
Oh sure.
Let's do it. Here we go. In 3 2 1. Greetings, programs on this Memorial Day. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
So, how has your 3-day weekend been?
It has been one of the most relaxing weekends I've had in a while. I feel like this is the first weekend in maybe 2 months, probably more than that I haven't had really anything to do. So I've just been kind of lounging around at home.
Wish
for
I
the
could
most
say
part.
the same. I've had like the busiest month of my life. It just hasn't stopped.
Yeah, I feel that way about a lot of people. Like May's been a really busy month. I mean, it's already flown by. I mean, Saturday will be in June.
Yeah, I know, and I wanted to tell our Patreon supporters, sorry we couldn't we couldn't get together for the this month bonus episodes, but at least you got the interview I did a few weeks ago. But we're gonna try to get that. We're gonna try to. We'll give you a little something extra in June. Because June is really gonna slow down for me, so we'll be able to get stuff done and get those commentary tracks that we promised and everything. So sorry to our patrons that we kind of let this month slip, but it's been busy, man. It's been real busy.
It's flown by. It really. I know I've been saying that pretty much every episode, but this month especially, between work and everything else, has just been. I feel like we just started the month and
I
now
know.
we're about to be in June.
It's crazy. But I did
Yeah,
get
it
to see
is.
Furiosa this weekend, so that was awesome.
I've heard it's really good.
It's worth going to the theater. If you liked Mad Max Fury Road, you're gonna like this one just as much. So go to the theater to see it. It's worth going. It's worth seeing on the big screen. That's the way to see this movie.
And I did finally see the Iron Claw
Oh
the other
yeah,
day. So yeah, I've been wanting to see that since it was announced, but it wasn't playing anywhere around here.
no,
So I had to wait for it to hit streaming. But it's worth the watch. If you're a wrestling fan, definitely check it out. Uh, Best acting that Zac Efron's ever done, in my opinion. He was really good as Kevin Von Erich. Um, but it's got a really good cast. It's a really sad story if you know the history of the Von Erich family, but it's really well done. So
yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I would definitely say it's a sad movie. So go into it knowing that poor family was cursed, and it just, whew, man, there's a lot of heavy stuff happens in that movie.
It's not just that it happens, but it's just like one thing,
Yeah,
then the next thing almost immediately happens, and then something else happens right after that. So,
yeah,
oh, Tyler in the chat says he watched it too.
yeah. It's worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch, especially if you're a wrestling fan or current wrestling fans. If you don't know anything about like 80s, 90s era wrestling, I would, or 70s, 80s, 90s, I would definitely check it out because the Von Erichs were, a famous wrestling family back in the day. Like Kerry Von Erich was one of the biggest names in wrestling back then, and I didn't even know he lost a foot. Like
Hmm.
that blew my mind. That most of the time I watched him as a wrestler, he only had one foot.
I know It's pretty insane. A lot of people still don't realize that. But yeah, they were like gods in
Yeah.
the state of Texas. And it's interesting to see like actors playing like Ric Flair, Harley Race, and some others. So that was interesting.
Yeah, it was definitely it's a good watch. I wouldn't say it's a fun watch. It's a good watch. It's a great movie.
If you appreciate well-made, almost artistic style film, definitely check it out. But if you're looking for a feel-good story, this ain't it.
Yeah. But we are gonna do top 5 video game weapons tonight, but we do have one news story we need to get to before we get to that. So let me play the little thing here. And as usual, if you have a story you'd like us to cover, send it to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And this is from, it's pretty much all over the internet, but this one came from bleedingcool.com. Atari officially buys the Intellivision brand and library. Let's see. The Atari purchased their longest video game rival going back nearly 50 years. Technically, neither company is really owned by the original founders or corporate entities, so it's not like they've really been keeping up the feud or anything because of the original console war. But now everything from both companies that ruled gaming in the late 70s and early 80s is now under one banner. Atari made it clear that they will now seek digital and physical distribution of legacy Intellivision games and possibly create new games under the name while also seeking new licensing deals. There are new T-shirts that the company is selling on the website to mark the occasion. And also, let's see, the Intellivision was released by Mattel Electronics in 1979, and it sold an estimated 5 million units through 1990. Atari and Intellivision arguably fought the first console war of consequence in the late 70s, early 80s. Mattel went so far as to enlist actor George Plimpton to appear in a series of ads comparing the two systems, as well as an 8-minute long video shown at the Gamescom trade show. The purchase includes the rights to more than 200 titles from the Intellivision portfolio and Intellivision trademarks. But do keep in mind that if you're one of the poor people that actually spent money on the crowdfunding for the Intellivision Amico, Atari has nothing to do with that because the Amico brand is not part of this Intellivision deal. So if you're looking for Atari to actually bring the Amico into the actually get it done, it's not going to happen because it's not part of the Intellivision deal.
Right. But this is a big deal. This was I feel like every month or every couple of months we talk about something that Atari's doing to just kind of eke their way back into relevancy, and this might be their biggest move.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't heard the name Intellivision in a long time, but still that's a pretty decent library, so I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it.
I wonder if they're going to do kind of like they did with the Atari 50 that they did, the Atari 50th anniversary game or collection they did a few years ago. I don't know too much about Intellivision games. I don't really know anyone that had one, but I do remember Intellivision being a pretty big deal. That was kind of like the rich kids console back when I was little. So I didn't have one. I had an Atari. So I never played any Intellivision games. I don't know much about it, but it'd be interesting to see what Atari's going to do with it, though. Because like you said, Atari's been making some big moves lately.
Yeah, Joey says Intellivision was his first console.
Really? He was one of them rich kids.
Cool.
Richie Rich over here with the Intellivision.
Yeah. But yeah, this will be an interesting story to follow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what they do with it. And honestly, I can't wait to see what Atari just does next.
Yeah.
I'm always hoping that some Atari news will come out for us to talk about.
I'm sure, I hope they use some of their old, titles that they had and just make new versions of. I mean, I know a lot of their stuff was third-party stuff like Activision and things like that, but it'd be nice if we got like a new Pitfall game or something like that,
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Why it's they can't do any worse just by not putting out anything.
Yeah.
So why not put out a new Pitfall game or something like that?
But that's pretty strange news after 50 years Atari buys Intellivision. That would be like, Sony buying or Microsoft buying Sony like a couple of years down the road and be like, well, that console war's over.
That might be the biggest story of our lifetime in gaming if that happens.
Oh,
That or if
Joey.
Nintendo just goes under.
Joey says, I want Pitfall Mario. That would actually be a really cool game.
Yeah, I'd love it. I mean, we talked about it last week. With Mario, you can really do anything with him.
Yeah.
So why not?
Put him
I'd play it.
Put him in Pitfall Harry in the same game and try to traverse, all kind of crazy obstacles in the jungle.
I guarantee you people would buy it just because Mario's in it.
Absolutely.
100%. So, again, why not?
But I like it. I
Why
like
not?
that Atari's doing stuff again. Like I want Atari to come back.
I think it'll be good for gaming if Atari is relevant again.
Oh yeah. But now we're going to go ahead into our lists for this evening. And who do you want to go first, Derek? You want me or you?
Usually I go first, so why don't you go first this time?
All right. Well, I'm going to start off with, and also thank you to everybody that contributed tonight. We got another lot of people to read tonight. So
A
we're
beefy list,
Yeah, we got a
if you
beefy
will.
list to go through. But for my list, on my honorable mentions, I have the Contra spread gun for the NES. That's probably the best gun you can have in that game. You need that game. You need that gun to win the game. So it's always frustrating when you go through Contra and you get the spread gun and then you accidentally get like a laser gun or something. It's like one of those things where you're like, damn it, now I got to get something to go try to get the spread gun again. Also,
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
the shotgun from Halo was
I love the shotgun.
one of two things you tried to haul ass for when you're playing multiplayer. The other one is actually in my top 5 list, so we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Also, the Batarangs for Batman NES, one of the coolest weapons in the game, and they're kind of overpowered. So it's just, I love that game. I love all the weapons that all the Batman weapons that you can switch through in that games, but the Batarangs are definitely the coolest part of that game. And of course, my last honorable mention is of course Donnie's bow staff from Ninja Turtles, the original NES game. If it was not for that bow staff, that game would not be anywhere near playable.
I just love the awkward motion that he does when you use the bow staff. It's just like, like
But-
he's holding it in a weird way, but yeah, it's the best weapon in that game by far.
Yeah, it's got the reach that you can. It's slow, but it's got a lot of reach, and it's definitely way overpowered. It's definitely a one-hit kill style weapon. And the cool thing about that game that I didn't even know this until a few years ago, the less health you have in that game, the harder you hit with the weapons. So when you're Donatello and you get down to like 4 or 5 health points, you're just like beating the hell out of everything in that game, even the bosses. That's why you see a lot of speedrunners will let Donatello's health get down real low because he hits so freaking hard when his health is low like that.
I had no idea.
I didn't either.
That's cool though.
Yeah, even Joey says it, the laser in NES Contra is terrible. It's one of the worst weapons in the game. That's why when you get it, you're just like, damn it, I want the spread gun back. But now we're going to go on to my actual list, and at number 5, and now 2 of these I have on here that it might be a cheat, but it's kind of a combination because they're variations of the same weapon. And so at my number 5, I have the Mega Buster / Metal Blade weapon from Mega Man 2. Everybody loves Mega Man's Mega Buster, but when you kill Metal Man and you get the Metal Blade weapon, that weapon is basically the I win button for that game. That weapon is so overpowered in that game, it's ridiculous.
Yes, Joey, I am giggling at what you said in the chat.
I was trying to avoid it. I'm trying
Yeah,
not to read it.
but no, I mean the Mega Buster, like it's up there with like Samus's arm cannon. Is
Hmm.
just like some of the most iconic weapons in Nintendo history. So I knew that one would be on your list.
And at number 4, I have the Dragon Sword slash Spin Slash from Ninja Gaiden. Now, I love the Dragon Sword because it's got the best reach. It's the best weapon of any NES game. It's a one-hit kill weapon for just regular mob trash. But the Spin Slash, if you can get through the levels keeping that Spin Slash, you can one-shot the bosses in that game because it is easily the most overpowered weapon in any video game ever made because it hits when you use a Spin Slash, it hits at 30 times per second. So whenever you have a game that's running at 30 frames a second, you can kill a boss in 1 second with that weapon.
That's ridiculous.
Hmm.
Didn't you use that when you were doing streaming of that game through the pandemic?
Yeah, that was the only way I could beat that game at first because I'm not good at the what they call slash canceling. I can do it now. It's a lot easier for me to beat that game, but originally when I did beat that game the first time, there are 3 phases to the final boss fight. I used the Spin Slash on the first part of the boss, got that, and then you lose the Spin Slash as you go into the second phase. And I died in the second phase and then had to go back to 6-1, run all the way back through to get to the boss and save the Spin Slash, killed the boss there. Then I died on the third part of the boss. Then I had to go all the way back with the Spin Slash and killed the final boss with the Spin Slash. So it's kind of cheating, but kind of not because I have to go back through all the entire ending of that game again just to save the Spin Slash.
I think you earn it though because you have to go back through the whole level again.
Hmm. And it's not easy to go through those levels and not die and keep your Spin Slash all the way to the end to use on the boss. That is a Herculean feat of 8-bit gaming.
Right.
And at number 3, of course, is the Master Sword from Legend of Zelda. Not so much in Breath of the Wild because it runs out of power, which I don't. What is that about? You have to recharge it. But in all the previous games, especially like Link to the Past, I mean, it charges up and it becomes a ranged weapon. You can't get anything better than that.
Yeah, I still remember getting the Master Sword for the first time in Link to the Past. And it was like, this thing like your main objective in the first part of the game is to get that sword.
Hmm.
And the way they built the anticipation whenever the pendants come out of you, then you pull it out and the lost woods light up. It was so cool. Still one of my favorite moments in gaming.
Oh, yeah. Makes me want to go play that right now.
I would love to, but I'll just get sucked in.
At number 2, of course, part 2 of the one of 2 weapons that you haul ass to when you're playing multiplayer Halo, the energy sword. The one-hit kill energy sword that is so freaking awesome to use and kill your friends with and then laugh at them.
I mean, the first time you see that weapon, you're just in awe. You're like, "Oh my God, that is so freaking cool."
But also when you're on the other side of that equation and you see somebody else with the energy sword, there's nothing more terrifying in a video game to see someone running at you with the energy sword.
If you have the sword, you go, "Oh." If you
Yeah.
don't have it, you go, "Ah."
And of course, my number 1 is the Vampire Killer, which is the Belmont Whip from the Castlevania series. What what bad can you say about the whip? I mean, you get upgrades, it gets longer, and it's got a nice range on it. You just go through the game whipping stuff, and then in the later games, you use it to climb up weird angles, and those when the mode 7's going and the room is spinning and you're swinging everywhere. Like, it's just so cool.
The only thing I have to say about the Belmont Whip is
The best part about Super Castlevania is when you can just kind of drop the whip and then you just kind of go and just kind of whip it everywhere. Like, why'd they do that? It's just funny.
I have no idea, but it serves a purpose because you could laugh at it.
But yeah, that's my top 5 list. I hope I don't anger anyone with that list. Of course, you always anger somebody. Well, like, why didn't this get on your list? But like, dude, there's like a million different weapons in video games. You got to whittle it down somehow.
My response to that will always be, well, put it on your list.
Yeah.
You make a list and submit it.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of doing this, is so we can discuss it.
But let's move on to your list.
Yeah, so I got some interesting honorable mentions. I think I'll start with those. One that this was my go-to in Halo 3 because it was the only way I would be competitive in multiplayer, and that would be the rocket launcher. I love getting on the small maps and just using a rocket launcher. It's just pure chaos. Everyone's dying every like 2 or 3 seconds. I mean, yeah, it's a powerful weapon and, you know, it works great in the campaign, but for multiplayer, it's just unorganized chaos and I love it.
And there's nothing better than when you're on a big map and you just fire a rocket across the map, and then you just see like a little player go like fly up in the air.
That's one instance that I will screen watch because it's so funny to shoot the rocket and then you see it coming right towards somebody and you look at like the bottom right part of your screen and you just see it's so funny. My other honorable mention is also from Halo, the Gravity Hammer. That's another one that, if you could tell, I love the one-hit KO weapons because I'm not very good at multiplayer games. Like, I love Halo, but I don't consider myself great at it by any stretch. It's similar to the Energy Sword in a sense that it's a great weapon to sneak up on somebody and just knock the hell out of them. And it's got such a cool name too, Gravity Hammer.
Yeah. There's nothing cooler than like just a one-hit kill weapon that you can just wreck until somebody takes you out in multiplayer. Like you're just wrecking everything in sight.
And that thing is a beast too. The thing is huge.
Yeah.
love the Gravity Hammer. Another honorable mention is from Mortal Kombat, and I'm surprised that I put this on here because I'm a big Sub-Zero fan. But Scorpion's Spear, especially seeing it when it was adapted on screen in the new Mortal Kombat movie that came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things in Mortal Kombat is when you're playing as Scorpion and you use that spear and you hear him yell, "Over here," and you just yank your enemy right to him. It's basically a spear on a chain. It's a cool weapon.
See, I thought about putting that on my honorable mentions just because it's so iconic. Like when you think of Mortal Kombat, what do you think? Get over here with him throwing that spear.
Yeah, you think of Raiden, you think of Sub-Zero, and you think of Scorpion and his spear specifically.
Yep.
And then my last honorable mention is from Zelda Majora's Mask, the Fierce Deity Sword. I love the look of this sword because it looks almost like a strand of DNA, and you can only use the Fierce Deity Mask in boss fights, but it is so ridiculously overpowered. Like, you can go back and fight the previous bosses in Majora's Mask with the Fierce Deity, and you can kill them in like 5 hits. And it's like the old school Master Sword that it shoots out an energy beam. And it's so cool. It's just this huge, bright, like wave of light that comes out of the sword.
Yeah.
And it also makes the final boss fight extremely unfair. But in a way, like, you earn it. But if you collect all the masks and you get the Fierce Deity mask, then yeah, you should be able to just win the final boss fight in like 15 seconds.
Yeah. See, I never played that game though. I never played Majora's Mask, so I don't know much about that sword.
It has one of my favorite stories of any Zelda game. A lot of people bash it because they look at it as like a big side quest, or it's too similar to Ocarina of Time, but I don't agree with that. I really like it. Moving into my main list, my number five is a newer weapon, but one that I love using in Mario Kart, and it has been the source of a lot of anger and a lot of fights.
Yep.
The blue shell from Mario Kart. For those that don't know what the blue shell is, it works similar to the red or green shells, but it focuses on hitting the player who happens to be in first place at the time. So if you're on the final lap of the race and you're just rounding that final turn and you're thinking, okay, I've got this, it's in the bag.
Nope.
And you see that little blue symbol right behind you and you go, no! And you get hit right before you cross the finish line and end up in like third or fourth place. There's no bigger feeling of defeat.
Yep. I mean, you could be in first place the entire race, and then that thing will hit you, and you end up in last place on the last lap.
Oh, it's such a genius weapon, but man, has it, oh, it has been the bane of my existence.
Such a trolly weapon.
It really is. My number four is the Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts. One of the coolest looking weapons, I think, in any game, period. I love the way that it was used in specifically the first Kingdom Hearts game because it felt special because because of the purpose that it serves and being able to relock or unlock worlds. And of course, as you get into later installments, it's like everybody and their brother has a Keyblade. But in the beginning, it felt special because Sora and Mickey were the only ones that had them. And I remember years ago, I was on vacation in St. Augustine, and they had this like weapon shop in like the downtown area, and they had a life-size replica of the Keyblade. And I'd never seen one before, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, they always have them at the conventions now. You'll see
Yeah.
people all over the place carrying those Keyblades.
Yeah. One day I'll get one. My number three is as you mentioned, the plasma slash energy sword from Halo. I remember the first time seeing that weapon and thinking it was just amazing. I mean, here's this sword made out of pure energy, and it's something I always run to whenever I'm playing Halo multiplayer. My favorite thing to do, like, and you alluded to it earlier, is just get it and sneak up behind somebody and then just and I would always make that sound effect too.
Yeah.
I wasn't the most popular person playing Halo, but we all messed with each other, so it was all good. My number two is Samus's arm cannon from Metroid. I'd never seen anything quite like it until I saw Metroid. Yes, Samus only has one appendage technically, but one of her arms is a literal cannon
Yeah.
that you can get all kinds of upgrades and power-ups for. Like, I love the Samus suit. It's one of the coolest looking suits I think in any science fiction media, and that includes movies. But that arm cannon is just, to me, there's nothing quite like it. The only thing that's close is Mega Man's.
Yeah, those are really the only two I can think of right offhand that are just straight up arm cannons.
So yeah, I love Samus's arm cannon. But my number one, and this is not going to surprise anybody in the least, but it is the Master Sword from The Legend of Zelda. I still remember my favorite Master Sword moment is getting it for the first time in Ocarina of Time, because it was almost cinematic the way they introduced it, because you just see this huge open room and the sword is right in the middle of it. And Navi says it's the legendary blade. And it felt like a big moment. And that sword is really important in that game specifically because it's your means of traveling from the past and the future. It's always been, ever since A Link to the Past, it's been a staple of the Zelda games. It has been promoted as the most important weapon because it's the only thing that can kill Ganon or Ganondorf, whichever one you happen to be fighting. I have I should have brought it in here with me, but I have a replica of the Master Sword here that I keep around. So it'll always be my favorite weapon.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Even though it is kind of weird in Breath of the Wild games how it runs out of energy, and you have to replenish it. But the act of actually getting the Master Sword in all of Zelda games is just one of the best cinematic moments of the game. Even in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, when you have to have enough hearts to be able to get it, because pulling it out of its thing, your hearts, it uses up your heart power to pull it out. So you're just sitting there watching your hearts go down, and you're like, oh, am I gonna have enough to get it out?
Yeah, especially how you get it in Tears of the Kingdom. It was amazing. From a storytelling perspective, it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that was so cool. That was probably one of the best ways ever of getting the Master Sword.
Yeah.
And if you have not played Tears of the Kingdom, you're missing out on one of the best moments in all of video games.
Yeah. When you find out the context behind it, it's... it hits you right here, right in the heart. So yeah, that's my my top 5 video game weapons.
That damn blue shell. You're giving me nightmares now. But before we go into your lists, Derek, would you like to do our Patreon shout-outs?
Sure. As always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. on our Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, John West, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B-Res Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, Axblade07, RMS Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am Scooter McGee. It might catch on. We'll work on it. Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mr. Joey Image, and of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. For as little as $1 a month, you get early access to our bonus content. I know we mentioned at the top of the show we're gonna make up the month of May. We're gonna put out 2 things at some point in June, so be on the lookout for that. It usually includes a commentary track like an animated show like Gargoyles or Darkwing Duck, full-length movies like Transformers the movie, Batman '89, Clue. We've also done some roundtable type discussions. So we'll see what the month of June holds for us here with our bonus content. And you get your own RSS feed with no ads.
None.
You get your own custom RSS feed, and you just hear us talk uninterrupted for however long the episode is. So you can't beat that. So if you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, be sure to send us your social media info, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, so we can give you a proper shout out. And yes, Joey, I did find $1 and change in my couch cushions earlier this afternoon.
Always. There's always $1 in there. It's
always dropping those coins.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happens. They keep falling out of my pocket.
Well, no, I think the couch is just generating them. The couch itself just generates $1 a month.
If it does that, I need to have a talk with it and see if it can generate like a couple of hundred.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, but we're going to move into your top 5 list. And this one is from an email we got from Halam Akbar. His honorable mention, Proximity Mines from GoldenEye. I love those things and threw them all over. I usually ended up with the Suicide Award and a near 0 score from killing myself as often as killing my brothers. You don't get really many Suicide Awards in real life. That's just straight a video game thing.
Yeah, thinking about it, I don't know if that's a great thing to
Yeah.
promote, but
That
I
might be
mean,
something, a little insensitive they might want to take out of the game
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Ooh.
When you think about that in 2024, you're just like, ooh,
Yeah.
that does. It's like watching some of the stuff from like the 70s and 80s, where
Hmm.
you're like, I don't know if that really flies today.
Yeah. I might want to go back and take that out.
Yeah,
As number 5, the spread shot from Contra. For me, Contra isn't even beatable without the overpowered spread shot. Agreed. Number 4, Cougar Magnum from GoldenEye. You can shoot through several enemies. I used to play with invisible, infinite ammo, and all guns cheat codes to line up enemies and try and kill several with one bullet. It worked the best on the train since it was so narrow. The silver PP7, the PP7 works the same way, but the feeling of shooting the Cougar Magnum was cooler. Number 3, the bow staff from Ninja Turtles. Donatello was always my favorite Ninja Turtle, so I was very happy to see that he is unquestionably the best turtle in that game. And I would say he's the best turtle in any Ninja Turtles game, honestly.
yeah. I think that continues on to even like Shredder's Revenge.
Yep, agreed. Number 2, the Master Sword from Ocarina of Time. First time I drew that sword was such a special feeling. I thought I was about to beat the game and was shocked when I realized I wasn't. Number 1, Excalibur from Final Fantasy. This isn't the strongest sword in the game, but the strongest sword can be used by anybody, and I always made myself a fighter, and the second strongest sword can only be used by a leveled up fighter. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, and I figured that there would be a few Final Fantasy weapons that would make an appearance. I know I don't know if that's Cloud's sword, like the really iconic one, that's the massive sword that's like 3 times his size. I apologize for not knowing its name. I'm sure it's on somebody's list, but no, that's a really good list, and I didn't even think of anything from GoldenEye.
I didn't either. Just because honestly,
Let's
I
see.
really haven't played it that much. I mean, I played a
Yeah,
little bit
not
of the N64 version on the Switch, but I didn't play any of the new like 360 the Xbox version that they put out, and the original I haven't played on an N64 in 25 years at least.
well, speaking of Mushmouth,
Yeah.
his list is up next. In no particular order. Well, I'll read his honorable mentions first. Some honorable mentions are the Gun Lance from Monster Hunter World and the Mace of Molag Bal from Oblivion.
Hmm.
I really like sword guns, and the alien device in South Park makes people sing and dance, and it's pretty great.
That's cool.
Uh, I love that. In no particular order, Revolver Gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII, Mechanical Gunblade from Final Fantasy 13, Dawn Dawnfang slash Duskfang from The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. That's such a cool name.
Hmm.
Dawnfang and Duskfang. The Alien Device from South Park, 1998. And whatever gun Shadow the Hedgehog uses in any game where he has a gun. I like that choice. Oh, and he says in the chat, the coconut gun from Donkey Kong 64. I respect that.
Yeah.
I like the coconut gun. Like yeah, it's kind of out there, but it fits in that world.
Yeah. Oh, of
So
course it does.
I dig it.
And also from Facebook, Michael Werniff says his honorable mentions are the Half-Life Gravity Gun. I haven't played Half-Life in forever. I know they've been teasing Half-Life 3, I think it is, for like 20 years now. Don't think that's ever coming out. And Smash Brothers Hammer.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the
Yeah.
classic hammer from Donkey Kong.
And on his list, Halo 3 Battle Rifle. Gotta love that shotgun.
Classic.
Yeah, Gears of War Lancer. Man, I haven't played Gears of War in forever, but man, those chainsaw guns and Gears of War are awesome.
Gears has some great weapons.
Yeah, the Kingdom Hearts Keyblade, Legend of Zelda Master Sword, and Portal, the Portal gun. I forgot all about the Portal gun.
I did too.
Such a
I did
cool
too.
weapon.
Yeah, that's a good list. I really like that. Next up, we have Mr. Armez Jackson. He says, "Oh yeah, this is a tough list to make." Number 5, the feather from Super Mario World. I love the cape. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite Mario power-ups. Number 4, the portal gun from Portal. 3, energy sword from Halo 2. Number 2, the metal blade from Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
And number 1, gravity hammer from Halo ODST.
And I can't believe I forgot the feather, too, from Super Mario
Yeah,
World.
I did too. I didn't even think of Mario power-ups.
I didn't either. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Because even the feather in Super Mario Brothers 3 turns you into the raccoon. You can use your tail to knock stuff around.
We might have to revisit this and do like top 5 power-ups.
Yeah, we're we're bad retro game guys.
I know. We didn't include any of that, and we're the hosts of the freaking show.
Oh, man.
It's
but
all good, though.
Jeff Miller from Facebook says, great topic. Then he says, at number 5, Silver Sword, Final Fantasy 1. Way OP for that early in the game, but needed. The Magic, at number 4, the Magic Butter Knife, Zelda 2. Any longer of a sword would have made the combat way too easy. I never thought about it being a butter knife, but now that you say that, I'll never be able to call it anything else ever.
That gives me an idea for a meme. I'm going to have to work on that.
The Master Butter Knife. Number 3, homemade grenades. Dying Light. Watch those zombies fly. I never played Dying Light.
I haven't either.
The shotgun from Doom. Was it broomstick or boomstick? He might have misspelled that. Boomstick for the win.
I didn't even think of Doom either.
I didn't either. And number 1, Seeker Rifle. Singularity. If only this was in a Mario game. If you aren't familiar with Singularity on Xbox 360, it's a must play like Eternal Darkness on GameCube. I don't remember Singularity.
I don't either. But I did really like Eternal Darkness.
Yeah.
So I might have to look into that.
He says, thanks, guys. Keep up the great shows. And we absolutely will.
Yeah, thank you. You know, that might have to add that to the list for next year when the Xbox 360 becomes retro.
Oh, no kidding. Good Lord.
Our last Facebook list from Josh Hartman, in no particular order. Number 5, the Master Sword, because it can shoot beams when fully charged. Number 4, this is like the classic video game weapon, the fireball in Mario.
Yeah.
Getting that flower for the first time was mind-boggling when I was 5 years old. Number 3, the Buster Sword in Final Fantasy VII. I almost want to go with Sephiroth's, but to me, Cloud's weapon of choice is more iconic. That's the one I was thinking of, the Buster Sword. Number 2, Energy Sword / Pistol from Halo Combat Evolved. Sorry for cheating, but both of these are so iconic. The pistol because it was super OP, and the Energy Sword because when I had to use dial-up to watch the first trailer for a new game called Halo for Apple was announced, I watched it, and seeing that sword was unforgettable.
Yeah.
Agreed. And number 1, Donkey Kong's barrels. Come on now. You said weapons, not ones that we got to use. Name a more iconic weapon the player didn't use and yet so iconic.
True. I didn't even think of it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about just weapons in a game. Doesn't necessarily mean a weapon you get to use.
We should have done this as a top 10 list.
I know. Now I'm like thinking all kind of different stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, we could probably just do a top 5 Mario power-ups or something like that.
We
Because
could.
he has so many.
I know. Now we're going to move over to our Discord. And I got to go all the way back up to the top now. And we start off with Mr. Joey Image himself. Top 5 video game weapons in no specific order. His honorable mentions are Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts, BFG from Doom, and if you don't know what BFG stands for, go look it up. This is a PG-13 show. Mega Man's Blaster, whatever it's called. The Evil Sword from Soul Calibur, and Simon's Whip from Castlevania. And his actual list is Contra Spread Gun, Days Gone Growler Machine Gun. I forgot about that. I knew he was going to throw Days Gone in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Rygar's Disc Armor. Yeah, he says, what a stupid name. It is a stupid name, but that is a really cool weapon, though. The Legend of Zelda Master Sword, and the God of War Blades of Chaos.
Now that's a cool name.
Yeah.
Blades of Chaos.
A lot better than Disc Armor. That's not a cool
Disc
weapon
Armor,
name.
that's a lame name.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Nick 59524, aka Nick Dub. His honorable mentions are Mega Blaster from Mega Man, Gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII, and the Master Sword from Legend of Zelda. Number 5, Blades of Chaos from God of War. 4, Lancer from Gears of War. 3, the BFG from Doom. 2, Gravity Gun from Half-Life 2. And number 1, the Spread Gun from Contra. The Spread Gun's made a few different appearances.
Yeah. Getting a lot of love tonight on these lists. And, of course, I need to play that new Contra game, too. I just haven't had time.
Yeah.
And
Same.
up next, we have Mr. Tyler Watson. He goes by Daimo22. I guess that's how he pronounces it. DAIMAOH 22. If you're in our Discord, that is Mr. Tyler Watson. Do you have any honorable mentions? Yeah, the Infinite Pistol from Borderlands 2. It does have infinite ammo, but it does smaller amounts of damage. Because of it, it also shoots an infinity symbol. That's weird. I don't remember that gun in the game, and I played through that game twice. Western
I'm not sure
Revolver,
either.
Fallout 4's Nuka World DLC. I spec'd my first character in FO4, Fallout 4, very high in pistol damage, so once I fully modded the gun, it was doing over 200 damage. It would 1 to 2 shot anything. I named it the Widowmaker. That's a cool name for a gun.
Yeah.
And at number 5, he says, the Keyblade. What started out as one ultimate weapon of a chosen wielder eventually morphed into a whole lot of people being able to have one, with an academy for users in the past. Reminds me of lightsabers in that way. I didn't even think about
That's
that.
a good comparison, yeah.
Erdrick's Sword, Dragon Quest series, the sword of the hero in the DQ series. It hasn't appeared in many games, but it was named the hero of the very first game. It made a comeback in DQ11 with its origins as the Sword of the Luminary.
We need to play some of the Dragon Quest games.
I know. The problem is like getting into those RPGs. It's like, do I have time? That has to be a wintertime review. So I have more time in the winter than I do in the summers.
Yeah.
Number 3, of course, the Master Sword. The Sword of Evil's bane and the only thing that can stop Ganon. The Master Sword is always taken up by the hero in Hyrule's darkest hour. Shout-outs to A Link to the Past and Tears of the Kingdom for the most memorable sword-drawing sequences. Absolutely. 2, Vampire Killer, Castlevania. When you want to hunt the night, there's only one way to go. Wielded by the Belmont family of vampire hunters, VK is the only thing that can put Dracula and his minions down for a dirt nap. Go play Lament of Innocence on the PS2 for the origin of the weapon and the Belmonts. Spoilers, it's sad and tragic. I do need to go back and play that. That is one Castlevania game I definitely have not played.
And I want to give a shout out to Tyler for this. Anytime somebody can work in the phrase dirt nap,
Yeah.
it's cool in my book.
And at number 1, the Mega Buster. Y'all know Mega Man is my favorite game series, and there's nothing better than shooting those sweet lemons out of the Mega Buster. It's quite literally an Omni tool with its variable weapon system, giving Rock access to the abilities of the previous Robot Masters. I own a replica with lights and sounds that I have as part of my own little mega shrine, along with the helmet and various action figures.
That was a great list.
Yeah, man after
Really
my
good
own
list.
heart, loves Mega Man.
Joey says, no one said Shawn Michaels' Heartbreak Hotel set from WrestleMania, the arcade game. I was actually thinking, since there have been a lot of wrestling games, would a steel chair count?
I would think steel chair counts as a video game weapon.
Okay, then I'm going to throw that in my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next up, we have our Discord manager, Bethany Fox. His top 5 video game weapons. Number 5, this is a Halo weapon I didn't think of, the Needler.
Yeah.
The Needler is a cool weapon.
Yeah.
Number 4, the Auger in the Resistance games. Number 3, Paint Roller from Splatoon. That's a cool one. 2, Blades of Chaos from God of War. And number 1, plasma cannon from Space Marine.
Yep.
I dig it.
Next up, we have the real Big Wall himself, the fact checker for the show here. And of course, we didn't mention it, but Tyler himself is the fact checker to the fact checker. Wally is the fact checker because he needs fact checking himself sometimes. At number 5, the dubstep gun from Saints Row 4. It's what it sounds like. You kill people with dubstep. Okay.
I'm going to have to look this up when the show's over.
Yeah, I'm going to need to see a video of this. The Boogie Bomb from Fortnite, a grenade that makes your enemy forcibly disco dance for several seconds. A lot of dancing stuff in Wally's list so far.
Okay, this list is incredible so far.
Mr. Toots, Red Faction Armageddon. You carry around a small unicorn that shoots killer rainbows from his crack. Is this real? I need to see proof of this.
I'm thinking it's legit.
It might be. I mean, we've seen weirder, but still. Yeah. Number 2, the portal gun from Portal. Really the only gun I would want in this world. No kidding. How cool would an actual portal gun be? And it is number 1, Pokemon from Pokemon. What's better than watching sentient, feeling, lovable creatures fight your battles for you until they are physically and presumably mentally exhausted to the point of unconsciousness? I didn't even think about Pokemon being a video game weapon.
I didn't either, but, I mean, he's right.
He's 100% right.
Yeah. All right, so next up we have...
I think this is the last one, too.
Brandon.
I think this is the last one, too.
Yeah, it is. Mr. Brandon Rutledge. His honorable mentions are the atomic bomb in Megaton from Fallout 3, to detonate or not to detonate. Beam Katana from No More Heroes, essentially a lightsaber that you recharge by, never mind. Cloud's Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII, giant and iconic. Exploding Sheep from Worm series, yes, you read that correctly, gives more damage than grenades and dynamite. It's so bad. Faust Giant Scalpel from Guilty Gear. That sounds frightening. 6 foot long for a 9 foot tall psycho doctor wearing a paper bag on his head. Okay, that is frightening. The Gravity Hammer from Halo. Flatten your opponents and send them flying at the same time. Ooh, this is a good one. The Home Run Bat from Super Smash Bros. Practically guarantees an elimination. The Penetrator from Saints Row the Third, so raunchy and offensive that even open micers won't talk about this weapon. Don't tempt them, my friend. The Plasma Grenade from Halo, you were stuck by a nerd. Oh, that was like the ultimate trolling weapon.
Yeah.
In Halo, if you got stuck by a plasma grenade, I would get so mad.
Oh, I know, because you're just waiting to die at that point.
Because you're like, crap. Soul Edge from Soul Calibur series, all-powerful meaty weapon with a creepy eyeball. Many souls burn in desire to obtain this weapon. That makes me think of Return of the Jedi. Many Bothans died. Brotherhood from Final Fantasy X. Titus's water-themed sword looks so cool that it's on the original PS2 cover art. Number 5, BFG 9000 from Doom. It's a big friggin' gun. Duh. So much power that you'll use a cheat code to get it early in the game. 4, Vampire Killer from Castlevania. The legendary Belmont clan's whip in their centuries-long, never-ending war against Dracula and his minions. Kung Lao's hat from Mortal Kombat. That's a good one. Cool hat, cool fatalities. Just don't play Frisbee with it. Number 2, Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts. A giant key that kills enemies and seals broken worlds. The various keychains or variations of this are absolutely beautifully artistic. And number 1, the Blue Shell from Mario Kart. Practically a guaranteed hit on the player in first place. This thing has murdered many friendships in real life. Don't ask me how I know this.
It has ruined lots and lots of friendships.
Yes.
Same with the sticky grenades in Halo, too. Because if you can get somebody with a sticky grenade, you can just make fun of them until they inevitably die. Because there's nothing you can do about it. You can't get rid of it. It's stuck.
There's no defense to it. So, like, once you get stuck, you're toast.
But man, this was a fun episode, and thank you guys
Yeah, this
for
was a
all
great
the
list.
all the list you guys gave us. And now, like, I got so many other ideas of things I should have put on my list. This was kind of a tough one to do.
You know, it really was. Like, I know I did my list really quickly, but the more I thought about it, I was like, well, I could put this on my list, or, you know, I could take something out and put it in the honorable mentions. But this was really, really good. This is one of my favorite lists to do, actually.
Absolutely. But yeah, thank you guys for all the lists you sent to us. And not sure what we're going to do for next month. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, go or you're in the Discord, go give us some ideas for more top 5 lists, because I know you guys have thrown some in there we haven't done yet, and they probably gotten lost in the shuffle. So go throw us some good top 5s in there, either on the Patreon or the Discord. But next week, according to one of the polls I put up a few weeks ago, Silver Surfer had tied with whatever I did last. What was it, the Goonies or something? I don't even remember the last thing I did.
I think it was the Goonies too.
Yeah. So Silver Surfer for the NES, which is one of the hardest games you will ever play in your life, and makes Ninja Gaiden look like a child's play, because everything in the game kills you. Can't touch anything.
Oh, geez.
It's awful. So we're going to play that and talk about it next week. That's going to be fun.
Oh, boy.
But before we go anywhere, we have the new Embarrassingly Retro shirts and merchandise available in the merch shop, ncrmerch.com. So go get you one. Go get something like a coffee mug, a shirt, something over there. Support the show. Get your embarrassingly retro merch today. And before we get out of here, Derek, I know you started switching your social media stuff over to the new podcast.
Yes, so you can follow me at Real Wisdom Pod. I also changed over the Linktree, so it's now linktree.com/realwisdompod. The show's probably not going to come back until July, but I've been posting some things, you know, like director quotes. I'm going to start posting some movie quotes too. I might reshare some feature presentation episodes, because those will be more accurate to how the Real Wisdom show is going to be. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I'll keep everybody updated on when the show comes out. But my immediate thing is I'm gearing up for my wife Samantha's short that we're going to be shooting, about to be next month.
Yeah.
After Saturday, I can say next month. You can go to facebook.com/plainjanemovie. There you can find the cast listing. There's a link to the GoFundMe, because we're currently trying to raise money so we can pay everybody. And so, yeah, go do that. It's a really great script, and I can't wait to get started.
That's gonna be it's gonna be a busy month for you. Sounds like next month.
Yeah, I'm always busy.
Yeah.
This weekend was like an anomaly.
Yeah, well, enjoy it. Enjoy it. One of these days, I'm going to get to enjoy just not doing anything for a couple of days. Sometime in June, hopefully.
Yeah.
But go check out my other podcast, the Open Micers Podcast. Keep in mind, it is rated R over there. This is a PG-13 joint here, but over there, it's rated R. So if you like rated R comedy, head over to the Open Micers Podcast, openmicers.com, at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram. Me and Jacob Craig talk to all kind of stand-up comedians and entertainers of all types, and sometimes really funny things ensue on the episodes, and sometimes we just do a hostful episode. And I think that's what we did last week, was a hostful episode, and it was pretty fun. So go over there and check it out, the Open Micers Podcast, openmicers.com. So Derek, is there anything else we need to do before we get out of here this evening?
I think that's it, my friend.
That's going to wrap it up for this Memorial Day episode of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. If you want to email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Nerdcaveretro.com is our link tree. That takes you everywhere you need to go. All of our socials, our Patreon, our merch shop, even PayPal and stuff. We can Cash App us some money. If you don't want to be a patron, which we understand, like sometimes people don't want to do Patreon. They want to just say, hey, here's a couple of bucks. Well, we got some links up there for you to be able to do that. Like I said before, ncrmerch.com is our merch shop. T-shirts, hats, stickers, magnets, bags, mugs, whatever your nerdy little heart desires. You can't do all that. You're like, I'm broke. I don't have any money. I get it.
go leave us a review and or a 5-star rating on all podcasting platforms. So Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yes.
Master Blaster runs Bartertown.
And that's an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I love to see a good jumping chat room when we're doing the show, but you guys are distracting sometimes, so I got to not look at it.
Good chat room, good
yeah.
list equals good podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight, and go enjoy your Memorial Day, and we love all of you, and we will see all of you